Great morning, great morning, great morning. I am Nicole D. Jones, and I am just happy and grateful for another day. I'm happy and grateful for life. I'm happy and grateful for you. I tell you every week, I don't take days for granted. I don't take you for granted because I don't take life for granted. So I want to remind you that you are healthy, you are wealthy, you are prosperous. Everything your hands go to touch, it must, it shall, and it will manifest, prosper, and grow great things because you are great. Okay? You're great. You're created out of greatness. And because of that, we're not, I say it all the time, we're not perfect. We're striving for perfection. There's no expectation of us to be perfect, but we are supposed to get up every day and we're supposed to walk out our purpose because we are purpose. All right? We're not looking for purpose. The fact that you are here on this day, the fact that you're breathing today, there's purpose for you. The journey moves and shifts in seasons. So what we do is we find out what part of our purpose fits in the season that we're in. All right? So, meal prep Monday. I know it's a little late. Y'all have to forgive me or not, but I have a different iPad today. I have my mini and I'm just all over the place. I can't see who's on the call. Well, I know you can see me and hear me, but I'm having to hold it. It's like Periscope days. But anyway, meal prep Monday. So you know that what's been laid on my heart is just us knowing our true self versus our false self. And I'm gonna beat a dead horse because I just believe that we're supposed to renew our minds daily. And I was thinking about it because um I'm so behind on posting, but anyone who was on the call, I told y'all, well, I spoke it all last year that 2025 was the best financial year of our lives. And it was so, numbers don't lie. When I looked at what came in, it was the most I had ever made. And I said last week, like, don't call me asking for $5 because I ain't got it. But God showed himself faithful. All right. So by faith, and he had already spoken 2026, instantaneous millionaires will be raised up. All right. So 2025, I believe that he primed and, he conditioned us to know that it is so and it is true. Okay. Being a millionaire instantly, you can be a millionaire right now on this call. How do I say that? Because it has to happen from within first. All right. You got to have faith to believe it. Once you can believe it, you can receive it. Once you can receive it, you'll know it. Or maybe faith to believe, then you'll go from belief to knowing. Once you go from knowing, you can receive it. All right. I got to correct that. So we go from faith to belief to know to receive. Okay. So it has to start from within. And this is why we have to know who we are truly. Wealth comes from inside first. Do I believe that, we're instantaneous millionaires in 2026? Yep, because I believe that the kingdom needs it. It's necessary. It's needed in this dark space. All right? God moves in seasons, so he's going to do it. So before we can even get to a point where we steward properly, because we should be good stewards over our finances, but before you start stewarding and start picking out places to steward, you got to be a good steward over your own soul. All right. This is why I'm talking about knowing your true self versus your false self. And this is the thing, I'm not saying anyone who's listening to me is fake. So let me start with that disclaimer. But I will say, many of us, we wear masks. Okay. So you don't want to see yourself as fake sometimes, it's fine. But we wear masks. But the thing is, it's not intentional. All right? It's a learned behavior. We go into a survival mode naturally. Your body goes into a survival mode naturally. That's why when things happen, your nervous system It reacts and it responds when something happens and it feels like it's itching that space or that wound that you may already have. Your body just goes into a survival mode, right? It's fight or flight all the time. So we either fighting or we running. Okay, our natural nervous system responds this way, but that is not who we are. That's not your true identity. That's what has been created as we walk out this journey in this process. All right, so a lot of people are not fake intentionally. I'm not fake on purpose. All right, but I do operate in survival mode a lot. And I'm having to be honest with myself to see that you cannot make change if you cannot accept and acknowledge what you do. Period. All right. So, this is the thing I wrote down: many people are not living as their true self, they're living as a version of themselves that has helped them to survive. Well, actually, I said, I don't live as my true self. It was very personal. All right. But I had to be honest. This is the thing. As this journeys, we gotta figure it out. Like we have gotten to a place where you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Now, what I want us to focus on this week is doing what we have to do does not always line up with who we are. All right. Handling your business does not mean that that's who you were intended to be. Okay. I'm sure anyone who listens to this, we all, at some point in our life, robs Peter to pay Paul and still might tip in it every now and again. But the reality is that's the survival mode. There's not one human being that's going to go through this journey without a debt. A debt. So if you have a debt, then you're in debt. Now, the amount of debt that you have, even if your house is paid off, you still got to pay to run it. Unless you are straight solar, unless you hitting well water on your land, you're going to have a utility bill. What is a bill? It's a debt. Okay? So when I say that, I'm saying like we've got to get to a place where I don't want to say we normalize things because the level of debt that you have is due to your stewardship. Okay? So I'm saying as long as we're in this journey, the life is set up to have bills. You're going to have one. Your house paid off, you still got to pay for taxes. You still got to pay for the land. So it's still something we're always paying. But what has happened in this journey, it's like debt overtakes us. And so now we go into this survival mode. So even when someone's coming out of debt, they clutch their purse so tight because they don't want to go back to being um overwhelmed in debt, which is a good thing. But the core of that is poverty mentality. Your true self cannot identify with having a poverty mentality because you're wealthy, you're royalty, you're an heir of the king. Your inheritance is all things, all things great. All right. Your inheritance is gold paved roads. All right. I don't have to wait to heaven to experience it when I have the authority and the power to bring heaven on earth. That is our true self. But we have to come to a point where we understand this journey has created us to be in a survival mode. Some of us can't even see ourselves wealthy. Can you see yourself a billionaire? If you had $1 billion going to your account while we were talking, what would be the first thing you spent it on? See, this is the thing. I ain't gonna lie. First thing I would do is tie that thing, baby. I'ma sew it back. Okay? But this is the thing. It has taken me to walk through valleys. It's taken me to see God's hand on my life as Jehovah Jireh. It's taken these things that my first thought is that. But here's the kicker. That's my first thought. Put $1 billion in my account. And by faith, I want to believe that the first thing I'm going to do is tithe it. See, we gotta learn how to be true to ourselves. All right. Meal prep Monday, because I feel myself getting on the soapbox. I promise this call ain't supposed to be about money. But what I do want us to understand is I believe the word. Okay. I believe the prophetic word that has come from heaven. I believe that I am an instantaneous millionaire in 2026. And I believe that anybody who has graciously been willing to walk with me, that you're one too. But this is the thing. Not only do I believe you're one, I believe you're going to have more. Okay. But we got to get to a point where we understand to tap into it. We got to learn how to tap into our true self. Okay. So, Meal Prep Monday, what's the first thing I want us to do? I want us to recognize that we walk around with a mask. You know that whole, I keep thinking of like that, whatever that party is where people have like, they dress up and they have those masks on. I don't know what they're called, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And I keep thinking of New Orleans. So that whole Mardi Gras field, y'all have the mask and all that. The reality is, this journey has set us up where we're all masked somewhere, but that's not your true identity. Okay. In order for us to really get the fullness of the journey, is we've got to know who we are. We've got to go into knowing our creator. That's Jehovah. All right. That's Jehovah God. You got to know him as Abba Father. This journey even makes it hard for us to know him as Abba because so much has happened. All right. My portion isn't a life of grace. That's not my portion. That's not who I am. I'm not a life of grace. Grace is bestowed upon me when I nut a donkey, but I'm not a donkey. So I'm that's not, I'm a son. I'm an heir. I deserve all things great because I'm created out of greatness. When we can get to a point where we can, and it's a process, all right? You can be who you are unapologetically when you begin to tap into your true self, because then we don't have to worry about you walking around being all boastful, proud, and arrogant. You'll do it in a posture of humility. Okay? You'll do it in a posture of submission, because then you're just it then like your life begins to be a life of gratitude, because you recognize who you are and then you honor it. You honor who created you. You honor your father. All right. Man, I feel like I'm just on a soapbox. So here's the thing. What is your false self? What do I want us to really be true to ourselves about this week? I want us to be willing to see the mask that we put on daily, and recognize that we're building from that in many areas and not from our true self. You got to recognize it. You can't change your behavior if you don't see it. Okay? So, recognize that you have trauma. If you were 8 years old and you had a little BFF in elementary and she called you ugly, and you now 53 and you think that you're not pretty, you have trauma. That caused some form of trauma. You took that lie and you made it a part of yourself. Okay? And then we build on it. So when a relationship don't work, we think it's because we ugly. Y'all get the point. All right. Another thing that's false that we have to recognize that we have rejection. We've all been rejected because we've all been told no. We've all had a point where we people please. We all have a point where we feel like we're going to be alone. Loneliness comes from a fear of abandonment. We've all had performance based love. Anybody who been in the church? You have church hurt. And we all have created some type of survival pattern from our childhood. See, it's Meal Prep Monday. Why am I saying all this? This week, I'm going to say it again. I want you to recognize places where you have trauma, places where you people please, places where you felt abandoned, places where you have created childhood survival mechanisms or tendencies or patterns. Because this is the thing, we got to start pulling some stuff up from the root. We can't be who we are truly until we can recognize that we can identify with everything I just said in some form or fashion, some kind of way we done people pleased. You not as humble as you think you are. Some of that humility is false humility. But guess what? False humility comes from pride. Okay, I'm so glad I can't see y'all. Ah! But listen, it's not, it's bad. But your action is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you an evil person. But what it does make you is an adaptive person. We've adapted to these habits, these behaviors, and that's what we have to work on. All right? So, it's Meal Prep Monday. It's 10:20, and I feel like that was a lot. So, I want us to recognize those things, okay? I got to go and put these things up. Recognize that you're not walking in your true self when you are in those places and you're building or you're operating from those spaces. All right? Examples, if y'all just don't believe me, um if you're one who over explains yourself, you know that person, like, no matter what you say, even when you're like, okay, it's fine, yeah, yeah, because I have to do this and this. Yo, I just said okay, like, why are we still talking about it? That comes from a place of trauma, that comes from people pleasing, that comes from not wanting to be rejected or abandoned. If you're a person who always needs to be validated, did I do a good job? Do you like that? Did you see what I did? All of that. Listen, we all do it. But again, it does not make us bad people. I don't know about y'all. Some people who hear this, I got more years on this journey than you. It has just become a way of life to be I was a single mom twice. No, I wasn't. Once. Second time, I had a husband. But I was a young mom. So automatically single mommy mode. Single mommy mentality is trauma based. Anyone who deals with it, it is not healthy. Okay. Um, if you're someone who's just like always on the go, always doing something, just always moving, always got to do this, you always so busy, da 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 da, but yet you just empty inside. That's because we need inner healing. Mel said it yesterday. Your spirit is good. Your spirit is set. It's your soul that wrestles. So, what do? You got to recognize those things so that you can counteract them with your true self. Who are you truly? You're authentic, you're accountable, you don't mind accountability, you're emotionally intelligent, and you're emotionally aware. You're purpose aligned. Notice I did not say purpose driven. You're purpose aligned first, and then the drive will kick in. And you're internally, you have internal peace. Your true self has internal peace. Why? Because your portion is the peace that surpasses the natural understanding. That's who you truly are. So when you start feeling razzled and frazzled and you can't pull that thing in, you got to know that you can't beat yourself up, because again, this body that we have, this fleshly body, the nervous system, it's fight or flight all the time until we get it under control. That's why we got to kill it daily. All right? So, Meal Prep Monday. I want you to focus on those things this week. I want you to be true to you. I want you to be the best version of you unapologetically, because you're intentional to do it in a submissive place, in a submissive way. When you're submissive, you can't do nothing but be humble. And it don't make you no punk. You learn how to set healthy boundaries for yourself where you don't have to be up here nothing to fool. You do it for yourself. You understand that it is your portion, it's your right to be chill. Okay? Everything don't have to be moving all the time. We ain't gotta have stuff going on all the time. I was just talking to someone last night. I feel like something always going on. But what blows my mind is it ain't even about me. Like anyway, we ain't even gonna go there. But be intentional to find the things and see, recognize those fight or flights, recognize those patterns, recognize the trauma stains that we live from daily, so that we can start shifting our perspective and we can start turning it around. All right? So I want you to stay humble. I want you to stay focused. I want you to stay positive. All right? Be the best version of you unapologetically, because no one else can do it. And you are relevant. You are necessary. You are needed. And it's not just to your friend, family, and your immediate enemies. All right? It is to the whole world. Your name is great. Your legacy is strong, and it will be left in this journey even after you go. Don't 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 minimize who you are, because you can never minimize whose you are. So when we tap into that, we can truly be who we are unapologetically. You can be the best version of you, and you do it with no hesitation. All right? So, I am Nicole D. Jones, and I want you to continue to have a fantabulous rest of the day. Smooches.